What's happening, everyone, and welcome back to Tenken. The news cycle is absolutely on fire right now, and we've got a packed show with updates that you absolutely cannot afford to miss. Get ready, because we're diving deep into some of the most talked about stories shaping our world. First up, if you're looking to sell your home, timing is everything, and we've got expert advice that could make all the difference. We're talking about practical tips that can help you move your property faster in a competitive market. Next, we're staying in the property zone with a crucial tip for anyone house hunting. Buying a home is a massive decision, and sometimes the smallest details can reveal the biggest issues. We'll explore a simple, yet surprisingly effective, method to spot potential problems that could cost you dearly down the line. Then, we shift gears to the economic landscape, where whispers of major tax reforms are causing ripples. What do these potential changes mean for homeowners, especially in bustling markets like London? We'll break down the rumors and what they could mean for your finances and the broader property market. Finally, we're looking at the bigger picture of housing policy. Experts are weighing in on the need for long-term strategies to ensure stability and affordability. Plus, we'll recap all the essential takeaways from today's show. Make sure you're subscribed and the notification bell is on so you don't miss out on any of our deep dives. We'll see you in the next one. Selling your sanctuary, expert secrets to a swift sale. Ready to sell your home fast? Expert Phil Spencer reveals the game-changing tactics. With more homes on the market than buyers this year, understanding buyer psychology and presenting your property effectively is key to standing out and securing a quick sale. Property guru Phil Spencer, known for his role on Location, and his work with Move IQ, has shared his top 5 tips to help homeowners sell their properties more quickly. In an increasingly competitive market, where supply often outstrips demand, Spencer emphasizes that sellers need to be proactive in making their homes as attractive as possible to potential buyers. He notes that this year, there are more homes available than there are people looking to buy, meaning sellers need to be prepared for competition and put in the effort to make their place shine. One of Spencer's primary recommendations is decluttering. He explains that buyers want to envision themselves living in the space, and excessive personal items or clutter can hinder this process. When potential buyers view your home, they want to imagine themselves living there, and it's hard to do that if the property looks a little too lived in, he advises. While a complete depersonalization isn't necessary, tidying up and removing unnecessary items can significantly improve the initial impression of a property during viewings. Beyond decluttering, Spencer stresses the importance of addressing minor repairs and cosmetic touch-ups. Daily life leaves scratches and marks on walls and painted surfaces, he points out. Filling small cracks in plaster and applying a fresh coat of paint can make a home look well-maintained, inviting, and more vibrant. These seemingly small efforts, Spencer suggests, can pay big dividends when it comes to selling. Similarly, attending to minor maintenance issues, such as fixing a dripping tap or silencing a squeaky door hinge, reassures buyers that they won't face immediate problems after moving in. Cleaning is another non-negotiable step. Spencer advises a deep clean to ensure the home looks and feels fresh, especially since buyers often make their decision within the first 10 minutes of a viewing. You need to make that time count, and ensuring your home is sparkling clean is the first step to impressing potential buyers, he states. Choosing the right estate agent is also crucial. Spencer recommends researching agents thoroughly, checking reviews, verifying qualifications, and seeking recommendations. He advises against focusing solely on commission rates or valuations, instead urging sellers to look for agents who are proactive and can clearly outline their strategy for selling the property. Membership in professional organizations like Propertymark, he notes, ensures agents adhere to a code of conduct. Spencer also touches upon the current market conditions, citing Zoopla data that suggests the average time to sell a home in the UK is around 185 days, with properties going under offer in about 38 days. This highlights the need for sellers to be strategic and prepared for a potentially lengthy process. Audience impact. These practical tips empower homeowners with actionable strategies to enhance their property's appeal, potentially leading to quicker sales and reduced stress in a challenging market. Buyers are also set to benefit from clearer market information. So, are you ready to put these tips into action and make your home irresistible? But before we move on, have you ever wondered if a tiny crack could signal a massive problem? The 10p test, uncovering hidden dangers in your dream home. A simple coin could reveal a home's biggest secret. Are you in the know? Beyond visible flaws like wall cracks, a small, overlooked detail can indicate serious structural issues like subsidence, potentially costing homeowners thousands. Phil Spencer, a renowned property expert and presenter on location, has introduced a simple yet effective method known as the 10p test for house hunters to assess the severity of cracks found in properties. Spencer explains that while cracks in walls and ceilings are common, their size and nature can be telling indicators of underlying problems. He elaborates that many cracks are merely cosmetic, resulting from the natural settling and drying of plaster in new builds or from minor shifts due to weather conditions. These types of cracks, typically less than 3 wide, meaning a 10-pence coin cannot fit into them, are generally harmless and can be easily repaired with filler and paint. However, Spencer warns that cracks wider than 3 diagonal cracks, or those that are wider at the top than the bottom, should be treated as red flags. These could be symptoms of a much more serious issue known as subsidence, where the ground beneath the property shifts, impacting its foundations. The cost of repairing minor plaster cracks can range from £1,400 to £1,700, according to Check-A-Trade. In contrast, addressing subsidence can be significantly more expensive, with average repair costs reaching approximately £12,500. Spencer advises potential buyers not to jump to conclusions, but to use the 10p test as a practical rule of thumb. He also points out that cracks indicative of subsidence often appear in specific locations, such as around windows and door frames, or where extensions have been added, and may be visible both internally and externally. If such cracks are noticed, it's crucial to monitor their progression and seek professional advice promptly. He emphasizes that subsidence can affect properties of any age, and that early detection and intervention are key to minimizing damage and repair costs. For serious concerns, Spencer strongly recommends engaging a qualified surveyor to conduct a thorough inspection. Surveyors can accurately diagnose issues like subsidence and provide expert guidance on the necessary remediation steps. He also cautions buyers to document the condition of the property thoroughly, perhaps by taking detailed photographs of each room, as this can be invaluable documentation should any issues arise later. Spencer's advice also touches on the importance of decluttering, reiterating that buyers need to visualize themselves living in the space. He notes that excessive personal items can make a property feel too lived in, hindering a buyer's ability to connect with the home. Removing clutter and ensuring the property is tidy for viewings creates a much better first impression. Audience impact. This advice empowers buyers with a simple tool to assess property condition, potentially saving them from costly future repairs and the emotional distress associated with discovering major structural problems after purchase. So, armed with this simple test, you're ready to inspect your next potential home with confidence. But what happens when proposed government policies could dramatically alter the property landscape itself? Taxing times. Could property reform shake up the market? Whispers of major tax reforms are circulating. What could they mean for homeowners? Potential government plans to alter property taxes, including stamp duty and capital gains tax, could significantly impact market activity, especially in high-value areas like London. Rumors are swirling about significant property tax reforms being considered by the government, potentially including the abolition of stamp duty and the introduction of capital gains tax, CGT, on homes valued over £1.5 million when sold. According to Zoopla, such changes are likely to slow down the housing market, particularly in expensive regions like London, where the average asking price exceeds £667,000. Phil Spencer highlights that uncertainty surrounding these potential reforms creates hesitation among both buyers and sellers. Buyers who aren't in a rush might delay their purchases to see if taxes decrease, while sellers might be deterred by the prospect of unexpected tax bills, affecting their future plans. Spencer criticizes these short-term policy shifts, arguing that they destabilize the market and create uncertainty for individuals planning major life decisions. He advocates for a stable, long-term, cross-party housing policy that provides clarity for at least 25 years, allowing people to plan their finances and lives accordingly. He emphasizes that housing is a fundamental aspect of society and should not be subject to political fluctuations. The specifics of the proposed CGT reforms suggest that sellers might face taxes of 18% or 24% on the increase in their home's value, a significant change from the current exemption for primary residences. This could particularly affect downsizers, who might be less inclined to sell if they have to pay tax on the equity built up over decades. Spencer points out that many homeowners have already paid stamp duty and would find it unfair to then be taxed on property value increases, potentially even on inflationary gains, which could result in a real terms loss. Furthermore, Spencer speculates on the impact on the rental market. If capital gains tax is introduced, amateur landlords might exit the market, reducing rental supply and driving up rents while also increasing pressure on social housing. He notes that even in prime London markets, where property values have seen little real terms growth over the past decade, introducing taxes that reduce demand could be counterproductive. Spencer warns that any tax on property transactions inevitably influences behavior. Sellers with a taxable gain would likely postpone or cancel sales, leading to a reduction in market liquidity and transaction numbers. He also foresees significant short-term disruption if these changes are implemented with little notice, potentially causing a rush to sell before new tax rules take effect, followed by a market stall. Spencer reiterates his support for abolishing stamp duty for first-time buyers, calling the upfront cost a major deterrent. He also advocates for spreading stamp duty payments over several years, a concept familiar to HMRC, and implementing regional thresholds for stamp duty to account for the vast differences in property prices across the UK. Audience impact. These potential tax reforms could significantly influence property market decisions, affecting affordability, investment, and the overall stability of the housing sector for millions. These potential shifts highlight the complex interplay between policy and the property market. But what does the future of housing policy look like, and what is the ultimate goal for a healthy market? Building a better future, the case for stable housing policy. Experts call for long-term vision in housing policy to ensure market stability. The current housing market is heavily influenced by short-term government policies, leading to uncertainty and instability, with a call for a more consistent, long-term approach. Phil Spencer is a strong advocate for a fundamental shift in how housing policy is approached, moving away from short-term, politically driven measures towards a stable, long-term strategy. He argues that the constant tinkering by successive governments creates significant uncertainty, impacting individuals' ability to plan for their futures. Spencer believes that housing is too critical to be treated as a political football and calls for a unified, cross-party policy that spans at least 25 years. This long-term vision, he contends, would provide the stability needed for individuals, families, and the market to thrive. Spencer draws a parallel between trading different assets, stating that markets inherently dislike uncertainty, regardless of whether it involves stocks, shares, or houses. He points to the current difficulties in the housing sector as a direct consequence of short-term policies enacted by politicians with limited tenures. This approach, he explains, makes it challenging for people to make significant life decisions, such as buying or selling homes, as they cannot rely on consistent conditions. He elaborates on the potential negative consequences of proposed tax reforms, such as the rumored introduction of capital gains tax, CGT, on property sales. Spencer argues that taxing homeowners, particularly downsizers, on the equity they've built could disincentivize them from moving, thereby reducing the supply of available homes. He suggests that if the government aims to unlock unused housing space, taxing downsizers would be counterproductive. Furthermore, he notes that homeowners who have already paid stamp duty might feel unfairly treated by the imposition of CGT, especially if it leads to paying tax on inflationary gains, potentially resulting in a net loss. Spencer also discusses the impact on landlords and the rental market. He observes that previous tax changes have already led many amateur landlords to exit the market. The introduction of CGT could accelerate this trend, further shrinking the supply of rental properties and consequently increasing rents and placing greater strain on social housing systems. He questions where people will live if rental supply diminishes significantly. Regarding potential tax impacts in high-cost areas like London and the Southeast, Spencer posits that taxes on higher-value properties might be self-defeating. He suggests that such measures could further reduce demand in these already challenging markets. A tax on transactions, he emphasizes, directly influences behavior, leading potential sellers to delay or forgo sales, thereby reducing market liquidity and overall transaction numbers. Spencer concludes by advocating for policies that create a more liquid housing market. He believes that making moving home easier, quicker, and less costly benefits everyone. Families find suitable homes, builders can meet demand, and the government collects more revenue through increased transaction volumes. A streamlined housing market, in his view, is beneficial for families, businesses, and public finances alike. Audience impact. This perspective underscores the need for stable, predictable housing policies to foster confidence and efficiency within the property market, benefiting all stakeholders. These insights offer a powerful look at the forces shaping our housing market. But what's the ultimate takeaway from all this crucial information? Let's quickly recap the key points from today's show before we sign off. That's all the time we have for today. We covered essential tips for selling your home fast, the crucial 10P test for buyers, potential tax shakeups, and the need for stable housing policy. If you found this information valuable, give this video a massive thumbs up, subscribe to the channel for more, and hit that notification bell so you're always in the loop. Don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms for behind-the-scenes content and more. We'll catch you in the next one.